All right, what's up, Tim?
Nada.
Not
Nada,
much.
nada.
It's been a hot minute.
Making it, yeah, making it through, the holidays, some scheduling issues and then no card last week. But we're back in it and it's really actually a really good card. I'm looking forward to this card.
Dude, I'm psyched for this card. This might be one of the best not numbered cards of the year, for sure. There's about 5 or 6 fights on this card that I think are, main card pay per view level fights. We got some fire shit here. There's a few, that are, Veronica Hardy fight, and it's like, okay, I don't care about that. But then you look a few fights later, and we got Joel Selecki and Drakkar Close and your boy Cody Brundage,
Yeah.
Misha
Yeah, there's
Tate.
there's some actually I'm not too concerned about the Misha Tate or like the Clay Guida fights, but when you move up a little bit more and you get to like the Figueiredo and Sean Brady and
Yeah, dude.
uh, Bobby Green, and then the main event with Dariush and Sarukian, um, I'm really really looking forward to that main event.
What fight are you most excited for?
Dariush Sarukian.
I'm most excited for Font and Figueredo. I think that's going to be a banger.
You think so?
Yeah, dude. I think they're both
I
guys who can knock each other out, but both have good chins. So it's like, I feel like it could be a complete war.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's more at stake for both Dariush and Sarukian. To be
Yeah,
honest with you.
I agree. I think big thing is going to be if Dariush can bounce back or did Charles Oliveira steal his soul. But we'll get to that one.
All right, let's start it off with good old Veronica Hardy fighting Jamie Lynn Horth. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't care. Um, and to be honest with you, I don't think Veronica um really is all that good. I think she's where she's at now because of her husband, even though he's not with promotion anymore. Um, but I think she's really not that good. She just lost a decision to Juliana Miller, who I'm not a fan of either. But she's going against this Jamie Lynn Harth, however you want to pronounce her last name. A little bit older, but she's undefeated. Um, nothing special. It's not a UFC debut for her. It's her second fight in the UFC, so she kind of got that first um, promotion jitters already out of the way. And I think this should be pretty easy work for a decision for Jamie Lynn Horth.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just talking to anybody who's a better or anything, then this is just a fight that you don't want to even be near. You don't want to have to think twice about who you're gonna pick here, and so I'm not gonna have this in any parlays or anything like that. But it's kind of lined just a near pick 'em for a reason. This thing could go either way. If I had to make a decision, I might go Veronica Hardy. She's still 28. She still could be growing between fights. But also, Jamie Lynn Horth hasn't lost a fight. But she is almost 34. I don't know. I don't have a ton of answers here, and I don't really have a good read on this one either. I think maybe just Veronica Hardy because Dan Hardy, and that's about my only reason why. Dan Hardy was pretty cool back in the day. He had a few good fights, and then he fought GSP, and everything went downhill
Yeah,
after that.
yeah. I mean, realistically though, I have no. I'm not gonna have any skin in this game right now. I'm
Yeah,
good with that fight. And now, and as we move on, this is gonna be a sad one for me. Um, even though he's favored and he's a local guy, He cannot put it together. And we got Wellington Turman versus Jared Gooden.
I feel
Um,
bad, man. I
we're,
like Wellington Turman too.
I listen. I do too. But unfortunately, he can't get it together. Um, he had two nice wins. Well, one nice one. One of them was a split decision over Sam Alvey, which isn't saying much. But then he had a nice um, sub over Misha Serkinov, which
That
was
was
great.
good.
But then it was just downhill. Yeah, downhill from there. Petrosky, he lost the decision. And then Rude Boy Randy Brown, he lost the decision. I don't. He's favored here, and I'm really not sure why. Um, I don't. I don't think he's. I don't think he's at that caliber. Even unless it goes down to straight grappling, but I think he gasses out way too fast. He has no tank. It's just all gas, no brake, and then he's toast.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think 100% Jared Gooden, not good. But if I ever lay minus 200 on Wellington Turman, I think I should get kicked off the internet. I think I should never be able to get on a computer ever again. Never be able to talk to anybody about betting ever again because he's not a minus 200 fighter. He's that fighter that you get at plus 350 plus, something crazy and you decide to take the shot there. But at minus
Yeah.
200, and Gooden can crack. I mean, Gooden's got power. He's got a little bit of that, power in his overhands and those hooks and stuff. And Terman sometimes doesn't react well to punches. We've seen it multiple times. So I don't know. I don't think I'll bet Gooden, but I think I'll pick Gooden to win.
Yeah, I'm not. I think I'm going to be a little bit more calculated with this card. I'm not betting on this one either. I would love Determined to win. I think we all know how he can do that, and that is going to be by getting it to the ground. So he needs to do that. That's his only viable option for a win, I think,
Yeah, he needs
and
a
it's got to be
submission.
quick. It's got to be yeah, and it has to be in that first second round. He doesn't have the tank to keep it going.
Yeah, I agree. I'm 100% with you, and I also agree. I'm gonna be a little tighter on this card too. Just make sure to take my people that I really, really, really believe in, and then outside of that, maybe a parlay or two, but nothing crazy. This is a tight card. There's a lot of fights that I think could go either way on this card.
Yeah, and that's I'm with you on that one.
What do we got here?
Uh,
Oh
Here we
man,
go. Now this is where it starts to get a little. The card starts to get a little tricky in here. Um, we have Ihor area. This is Bellato. Um, this to me seems a little lopsided. Um, just being as somebody making their UFC debut is that much of a favorite. Um, Granted, he's fighting out of Team Noguera. He's 11-2. He's got heavy hands. But he's been stopped. I think both of his losses, he's been stopped. I think it's by the same guy, and we've seen him,
Petrino,
Vitor
you.
Petrino, who's an absolute hammer. That's both of his
Yeah,
losses too, and he got knocked out both times. So that I can understand why. So technically, if you take out that one, kryptonite guy, he's 11-0, or if they only fought once, 11-1. But you look at Pateria, right? His only win, um, in the UFC is against a 40-year-old Shogun Rua. He lost to Carlos Olberg knocked him out. He's got the win over Shogun, and then he's got knocked out standing TKO. I don't even know how to say the guy's name. Um, I think he could get finished. I think this could be a Bellato finish. I don't like how he's that heavy of a favorite. So probably him by knockout is probably going to be minus 160 to 180 if I had to guess. We're pretty early out for that line. Um, but this is something I might take under 2.5, um, or put him as part of a parlay piece as a win by knockout.
Yeah, I like this Bellato kid. You know, we've seen Petrino come into the UFC and he's doing well, and Bellato was beating the shit out of him on the Contender Series. Bellato is that dude, and then he got caught and knocked out because Petrino has world-ending power. I mean, the guy is like a ninja turtle. He's got muscles on his back that I've never even heard of before. But Bellato, yeah, he's a tough dude. I like his ground game a lot. I've seen a couple clips of him over his past 6 fights, and he has a really developed ground game. And I think he could probably sub Poteria here if he wants to. But I mean, me and all the homies hate Poteria. He's the guy who danced around the octagon after he, knocked out the shell of Shogun Hua and retired Shogun Hua,
Yeah,
the legend of the game, guy who literally was one of the first frontline MMA guys. And he was thinking, I'm gonna dance around the octagon after that. Just not a good look. But I think he probably gets finished here. I think Bellato finishes him. But yeah, like you said, showing up your first UFC fight and you're minus 500, I don't really think I would be comfortable betting him or putting him in a parlay unless it's him by sub or him by knockout or him by finish. If I got a good number on that, I'd think about it, but you know, I'll wait for this and see how he fights here. This Pateria guy, I don't think is that good. He had that one win, and outside of that, he's been kind of shitty. So his name is kind of sick though, the Duelist. That's kind of dope. Um,
yeah, uh, yeah. He's got dual losses in his last three fights. So
yeah, dude, he's about to be the trioist. That's what he's about to be here.
yeah, yeah. I don't see it working out well for him, but hey, he does have the more experience, which is also something that you have to take in consideration. He's already made that walk for the UFC. We'll see. A lot of these times, these guys that are making their debuts, they want to do something big. They want to make a name for themselves. So what happens is they come out doing that, and they can end up getting caught. So
Yeah, and
that's
Pretoria
just
does have
something.
hands. He has power. He knocks a lot of people out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not impossible that he catches Bellato. I mean, that's Bellato's 2 losses, knockouts.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So there's definitely a way to get it done, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's gonna work in his favor though. Bottom line.
I don't know either. This next one should be good though. We got Steve Mean Machine Garcia versus Melquizel Costa, and this one is kind of the tale of old junkyard dog versus young coming into the UFC. Trying to make a name for himself. We got Steve Garcia, who's he's the kind of guy we saw. I don't remember his name, but he was barking in the octagon a couple weeks ago or a month or so ago. That's something Steve Garcia would do. He'd get his absolute shit rocked for 2 straight rounds, and then he'd be barking in the octagon in the third and get a finish. He's just that guy when it comes to having the tank, having the gas in the tank in that third round. He's coming off of a win over Shilan Nerdembeke, which he was not supposed to win, and then a win over Chase Hooper, which he was not supposed to win. And Costa is coming off of a win over Austin Lingo, which he looked really good, and lost to Thiago Moises, which Thiago Moises is a dog. Absolutely nothing to, be ashamed of there. But we got Costa sitting minus 200 here. And I feel like that's probably about right. I think Garcia probably walks into Costa being a little bit more, a little bit more timing oriented and maybe a little bit more of a sniper from the outside. Garcia's just going to walk forward and he's just going to take it on the chin. So if Costa can, stay on the outside, land some nice shots here and there. I do like between fights, he's been making a lot of changes and a lot of improvements. So I think he comes into this looking better than he did in that last fight, which he already looked pretty good in that last fight. So I think he's just going to take another step. I think he beats Steve Garcia, but I'm not willing to count Steve Garcia out. I'm not willing to, say that Costa should be minus 300 or minus 350. I just don't think so. I think Garcia, he's going to make it a fight. It's gonna be close, and it's going to be if he can get in the clinch, if he can just kind of pressure forward, he's got a shot at winning this fight. So the minus 200 on Costa seems about right for me, but that's what I've got. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The only thing I'm going to take away from Steve Garcia is that that win over Chase Hooper. I mean, when you say that he wasn't supposed to win, I know they're trying to push Chase Hooper and everything like that, but I mean, Chase Hooper was still a boy, even though
Yeah.
it's only a year ago. He's finally starting to grow into himself. So I really don't want to, you know, give him too much credit for that win. Um, I think Casa is going to be willing to stand and grind it out. I think he's going to be the more skilled fighter, and he's coming out of another shoot to box gym. He's got the experience, so I'm on Costa. I might put him in as a parlay piece somewhere. But this is another real close one that I'm not going to be laying any money on.
Yeah, it's just another one that, could go either way. Which there's a lot of them. Like I said, there's a lot of those fights on this card. I'm excited for this next one, dude. I'm really excited for this next one. Joe Selecki versus Drakkar Close. And it looks like Close is a small favorite here. And they both have the same exact lineup in their last 5 fights. They both had 2 wins, a loss, and then 2 wins, with Joe Selecki coming off of Carl Deaton III and Alex Da Silva, and Drakkar Close coming off of Rafa Garcia and Brandon Jenkins. I'll let you kick this one off, Tim.
Right. Well, they are close, as in they both dropped one in their last five. The records are pretty similar: 13-3 and 13-2-1. The only difference is Joe Selecki lost to Jared Gordon, and Jakar Close lost to Benil Dariush. Um, I'm not a big Jared Gordon guy. I mean, I do think he beat uh, our buddy Patty,
He did.
but I I don't think he's at that level. Um, Even though Jakar Close is 5 years older, I'm gonna have to still go with Jakar. I think he's got more ways to win. Um, I think he's gonna be a little bit slicker, and I'm gonna take him. I'm definitely gonna put a little bit on Jakar, probably with one or two of the main and the co-main.
Yeah, I think I agree completely. And we saw Close get grappled in his last fight, and I think that's going to be a similar story here. I think Selecki will have a few successful moments with the grappling, but then whenever it's on the feet or whenever it's in those in between moments, I think Close is just going to have much more success when it comes to, impressing the judges, landing strikes that mean stuff, looking better, all that sort of stuff. I think Close will have the advantage. And Close is getting old here. I've been a Drakkar Close fan for a while now. I was kind of pissed when that whole thing with Jeremy Stevens happened because I really wanted to see that fight. I think Close had a high ceiling, but I think now he's kind of just timing out. He's going to be 36 before his next fight. He's 35 right now, 35 years and 8 months. But I think he has a lot of tools. He's a good fighter. He kind of got broken by Beneil Dariush there as well, which was pretty crazy. That was, He was putting Beneil on the back foot and hurting him and stuff. Great fight. I mean, if you're an MMA fan, you've probably seen that finish. It was nuts. He put Beneil against the cage and was landing some bombs, and then all of a sudden, Beneil comes back and lands an absolute cannon, and Drakkar is just stumbling across the octagon. Great fight, but yeah, I think Selecki probably gets a takedown in the first round, maybe even early, and then Jakar gets up and lands some nice strikes and nice combos, and that sort of thing happens. And then we see Close come away with another 29-28 or 30-27 decision. I don't really think anyone's getting finished here, but I'm definitely on Jakar Close. Let me go check the line as of right now. Yeah, he's minus
Yeah, the only
118.
thing. Yeah, so the only thing I would maybe take a little flyer on is Selecki by sub.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't mind that.
that would be it.
I don't mind that at all because that's pretty much, in my
I,
opinion, his
that's
only
that's
path.
gonna have to. Yeah.
I like that. All right. Ooh, it's your boy. You better have the
Well,
nastiest,
first of all,
longest
let's not.
speech here, Tim.
No, no, it's not. No, this just has to do. It's Cody Brundage, right, versus Zach. Now, I do like the fact that um, Brundage is a plus 210. I am gonna put a little on him. Because he is a little bit more experienced. He's got about 14 fights compared to Zach Reese's um, 6. Now, Zach Reese is also undefeated, right? 6-0. I think he's all finishes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, all finishes. But he's going up, even though Cody Brundage has won 2 in his last 5.
Can't even call that
Um,
last one a win. He won an Oscar in that last one.
well, he still won the fight. Any which way you look at it. Here's the thing: Cody Brundage is an absolute dog, and I don't know if making your debut, it's a good idea to go against Brundage. I think he could take this kid to deep waters. If you look, um, the last time he got finished was to Michael. I can never say this guy's name. Okalaszczuk,
Mikey O,
right?
baby.
Mikey.
It's my
Oh,
boy.
Mikey. Oh, yeah. Um, Rodolfo Vieira subbed him. Rodolfo Vieira. That's not a surprise. We all know how good Rodolfo Vieira is. Cedric Dumas, um, or Dumas. He went the distance with him, and then we got the disqualification win to the illegal elbow to the back of head against Malkoun. Listen, this is gonna be a win for Brundage. I can almost guarantee it. I can feel it.
You're gonna
I can.
guarantee it? And he's 9-5. He should be 8-6 right now. And you're guaranteeing him a win here? That's a ballsy move, Tim.
I think. Well, I don't want to guarantee it, but I'm highly favorable. Um, for him to get a win here.
Interesting. I think he
I
gets
don't know. I don't
finished.
know what it is. You think so?
Yeah, dude, I think he's gonna get finished. I watched this Zach Reese guy on Contender Series, and I don't know if he's all that great. I just kind of think Cody Brundage should be done. I mean, he's not all that great. I think he should be 4 in a row, and he seems to have about 1 round of cardio. He seems to be able to fight. He never loses the first 2 minutes or 3 minutes of the fight, the first round. But then after that, he just kind of fucking breaks. He just kind of sometimes he gives up. Like I've seen that in that fight where he got submitted, which again, it's Rodolfo Vieira. I mean, I wouldn't get submitted by him, but that's me. I'm just a different beast than Cody Brundage. But Cody Brundage, I will give you this, Tim. I will give you this. He does make developments. Like I see shit from him and it's like, "Oh, he's really trying really hard." Like I see him and he's got things between fights. It's like, "Okay, he's working on some shit. He's figuring some shit out between fights." But it just never seems to amount to wins. I don't know if the UFC is giving him bad matchups on purpose, but like Jacob Malkoun is a dog. Jacob Malkoun is going to come forward for 3 full rounds and never get tired, and Cody Brundage does get tired. They gave him Rodolfo Vieira, a fucking boa constrictor, a guy who would literally kill every other human on the earth if you couldn't punch each other. Like, they're not
Yeah.
giving him any favors here. I think what's going to happen is Cody Brundage is going to have to wrestle here because Zach Reese is 6'4", 77-inch reach, and he has a lot of power in his hands. I watched one of his other fights on YouTube that I found, and dude cracks. He cracks really, really, really hard in that first round. So I think Brundage gonna have to wrestle in that first round, and I can see him gassing out after about 2 minutes and then getting bonked. But this is again another one of those situations where it's someone making the UFC debut and they're also minus 200. That's not really my jam. I'm not really into betting guys who have never fought in the UFC at minus 200. So I can see where you're coming from on the bet on Cody Brundage. I'm just not a big CB backer. You know what I'm saying? He's not
And I
really
don't
my cup
listen.
of tea.
Here's the, I know. Here's the thing, though. He trains with Anthony Smith, Doug Kobe, Brandon Rival, Alexander Hernandez. Like he's in the right gym. I think he's training with guys that have. I mean, shit. You know what I mean? Training with these guys. Jacoby's got almost 30 fights, and you know what I mean, these guys are legit. So I just think that there's more experience that he has, even though he's in five, training with the guys he's training with.
Yeah, but the real question is just does he have the hardware? Because some dudes have the hardware, like they have the chin and they have the athletic ability to, get stamina in the second round, in the third round, because everybody's tired after 5 minutes. Like literally every single fighter of all time is definitely tired. It's just do they have the ability to continue to have that second wind, that third wind, whatever it is, be able to push and it seems like Cody Brundage just doesn't have that hardware. And he also like he gets hit and he does not react well.
Uh, no, but the only one to finish him recently was Mikey O.
Yeah, Mikey
Um,
O's got
with
hands.
punching. That's what I'm saying. And then Knight back in 2020 on the Contender Series. So that's the whole thing too. How are you gonna lose contenders? But yet he's got it. I'm telling you, he's got it. He just needs to put it together.
All right. I'll be watching your boy Cody this weekend. I might even be cheering for you a little bit here. See
Listen,
if we
it's
can get a
not
good
it's
one.
not the sex it's not the sexiest, but it's a guy that will go in there and absolutely chuck him.
How do you think he's gonna win? You think he's gonna finish him, or you think he's gonna go to decision?
Probably decision. He'll
Decision.
probably the first round might be it'll be a questionable. Maybe one judge will have it 10-8 against him, and then he should win the second and third.
Okay. All right.
I think I think he's got that dog. I think he's gonna drop the first and then win the next two.
All right. I'll be watching for it. This Reese guy kind of reminds me of like a Joe Pfeiffer, sort of a body and sort of a fight style. So I'm interested to see how he does here. Because if he bonks Cody Brundage, then I'll be willing to maybe bet him in the future. But right now, I can't bet this minus 200 debuting guy.
Yeah.
Oh boy, now we're getting into the
This
goods.
I wouldn't go that far just yet. So we got Misha Tate versus Julia Avila. Misha Tate hasn't fought in what almost almost a year and a half ago. It doesn't seem like it was that long. Wow, almost a year and a half ago. And Julia uh, Alvia hasn't fought in 2.5 years. Honestly, I do not care. This is a novelty fight. As far as I'm concerned, is this a new weight class? Misha Tate? Is she?
No,
What was she
she's
just fighting?
so she fought at 135, and then in her last fight she just went down to 125 to see if she was, gonna look good, and she looked absolutely awful. So now she's just going back up to 135.
Was and that was against Lauren Murphy, yeah. But then she did lose to Ketlin Vieira. Um, yeah, and then she had that co-main event against Renault. Listen, I don't know what to. I really don't know what to tell people on this one because Misha Tate is she does not look good, right? Physically, she looks fit, healthy, um, like she could do it, but it's just the speed. It's not there. But then going against Julia Avia, I mean, she hasn't fought in 2.5 years. So how much rust is there going to be um, on her? And she's the favorite. She's minus 160.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't understand it. So obviously, they're thinking that even though she's coming off a 2 year layoff, she's gonna come out there and get rid of Misha Tate. It doesn't make sense to me, and especially that they're similar in age. So it's not anything like that. I don't know why they have her as as a slight favorite.
She was a pretty
And
highly thought of prospect before she took this long layoff, which I think she like got injured and then she had a kid or something, is why she hasn't fought in a while. Um, but I remember right, people thought pretty highly of her when she came into the UFC. Everyone was pretty interested in what she had to offer. And she did, look pretty decent there for a while. Like she beat Pani Kianzad, which, whatever. She beat Gina Mazzani, which, Gina had an okay sized name for a while. She lost to Sajara
yeah,
Eubanks, and then she beat Stolarenko, which Stolarenko's been okay in her last couple fights. It's not terrible, but now
yeah,
Avia's 35. 35, you just had a kid, you haven't fought in 2 years. Like, what are we supposed to think about that? And you're fighting Misha Tate, which, with all due respect to Misha Tate, I don't think you're a very good fighter. Um, but you have like the absolute war in you. Like you're coming forward. Misha Tate is always going to be coming forward. She's tough as nails. I mean, technically, I don't think she's all that great of a MMA fighter. These new age women's MMA, fighters are just a little bit different level of technique than she's used to, and that's why she hasn't had a lot of success since she came back. And partly she's 37, so you take your pick here. 37-year-old fighter who doesn't really have the skill set to succeed in modern MMA versus 35-year-old MMA fighter who just had a baby and has not fought in 2 years. I don't think you can really pick either of them really confidently. But what I do know is Avia at least has a little bit sharper skill set when we last saw her. Tate looked absolutely terrible in that last fight.
yeah.
So I don't know,
Here's
man. It's
here's the
tough.
thing. I I I feel like this is a trap line, whereas people are gonna see the name value and say Misha Tate plus money going against Julia Avia. And you're only as good as your last fight, and unfortunately, nobody remembers Julia Avia's last fight. So I think people are gonna hammer the plus money, and I think it's going to be the wrong side. I think for that reason, I think Avila is going to get it done. Just for that reason of how tricky this line is. I think it could be. I think it could be a trap.
Yeah, people are gonna know Misha Tate for sure. My friends who don't even
That's
know
one of
MMA
those.
know Misha Tate.
That's it's one of those things. I don't. And Misa, I mean, she has looked terrible the last two fights. Even in her win, I didn't.
Yeah, dude, she looked
Granted,
god
it was a
awful.
ground and pound. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Renault looked even worse, but I don't think she looks good. I think I don't know. Maybe she gets a win that hangs it up, but I don't. I'm not touching this one either.
Isn't Renault like
I think it's a
67 years
trap one.
old?
Yeah, she's 66.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying, bro. Is Misha Tate like? I just don't think she's got what it takes to compete in modern MMA. But you know. Oh, speaking of older gentlemen or older MMA fighters, Clay the Carpenter Guida, dude, I grew up watching him. He was like my dad's favorite fighter when I was a kid. I remember he'd be like Clay Guida and act like he had long hair and shit. Um, dude is gonna be he's literally gonna be 42 on fight night. That's that's insane. That's a pretty high. You got a lot of damage on your body after 42 years of age. Your record is 38 and 23. That's some shit we don't see very often for Clay Guida. And he's fighting Joaquim Silva, who, he's 35. He's not a spring chicken himself. He's 12 and 4 coming off that loss against Arman Sarukian, which, it was a good loss to Arman Sarukian. We don't, you usually don't hear people say good loss or, usually, oh, there's no good loss. That was a good ass loss. He knocked down Arman Sarukian. He fucking almost finished him in that round as well. He got on him and was landing some nice shots. And then, obviously Sarukian came out on top with the ground and pound and just being an absolute animal. But he had his moments
Yep.
against Arman Sarukian. And then in Clay Guida's last, we saw him lose to Alpha Garcia, which I was actually at that fight, which was pretty sick. And we saw Clay Guida fake retire afterwards,
Yep.
which was pretty interesting. I'll keep this one short and simple here. I think Clay Guida is just over the hill, and I think Silva's all right. He's good enough to win this fight. With that said, I'm not gonna be betting Joaquim Silva at minus 300 or above against anyone in the UFC, let alone a guy like Clay Guida. I want to be able to cheer for Clay here, so I'm gonna pick Joaquim Silva to win, but my heart will be cheering for Clay Guida.
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna lean towards Guida just from the experience aspect of it as well. I can see. I don't know how he does it, but he can just take a beating and absolutely just keep going forward.
Yo.
So I think the same thing that got Silva in trouble with Sarukian can happen here, not on that level though. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying Clay Guida is Armin Sarukian, but if Clay can weather that storm, um, I think he could be able to get it done. I mean, Silva in his last five fights, he's been finished. All of his losses, he's been finished. Clay's losses are a decision, a submission to a knee bar, which you're gonna tap immediately if you want to have a nice long career, and then a split decision over Mark Madsen. So they're not, you know what I mean? They're not the same type of losses here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Clay Guida. I mean, not heavy by any means, but I think he can get it done. He's another one of those guys that could just weather that storm and then put it on. The energy that he has, in that first 10 seconds of the fight, same energy that he's going to have last 10 seconds of that fight. You know he's going to go full throttle and push the pace. So for that reason, I like me a little bit of that Clay Guida.
Yeah, bro. I also just love how Clay Guida, he brings it every single fight before the fight too. Like he's fucking amped. He's getting slapped in the face by his brother. He is absolutely amped before every single fight. And it always feels like you're watching like a legend. I know Clay Guida is, he never won a title or anything, but to me it still feels big to watch him fight for some reason. Whenever he fights, I'm always like super interested in watching and just keeping my full attention on it because it's Clay fucking Guida. For some reason, his name just holds a lot of value. But um, I would love for him to have a Robbie Lawler moment, where he comes out and he gets that win and then he retires and we get a dope ass video. We get one of those um, crazy videos of all of his wins, him knocking people out, him submitting people,
Yeah.
him being an absolute dog through his career. I would love to see one of those situations. I don't know if it'll be here, if it'll be his next fight or the next one afterwards or something like that, but I'll be waiting for that day. Maybe I'm just saying I'm a Clay Guida fan. Maybe that's the short way of saying what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
dude. This fight's fun too. This is gonna be a fun fight. Someone's going down here. Someone is getting clipped and not waking up. What do we got here? It's Punahele
This is what.
Soriano versus Dustin Stolfus. Kick us off, Tim.
So I think this is what the kids say when they say the battle of mids, right?
Yo, yeah, you nailed it. You nailed
Mhm.
it.
Right. No, this is to see who gets to keep their job. That's pretty much what this fight is. There, you win this fight or you don't have a job. I think what they would really like is for a Soriano to get the win here. Um, Granted, these guys are about the same age, but I do feel that being with Couture, Soriano, that is, um, I think he is with the better gym. I think he is. I don't know if he's made the right adjustments, but Stolfus is terrible, to be honest with you. Um,
Yeah.
there's not much stake. Besides these guys having a job, it's not going to affect any standings. Um, is this on? Is this not on? This is on the main card. Does
This
this
is the
kick off the
opener.
main card, or it's got to be?
Yeah, this is the
No.
opener. Yo, this is the kickoff.
All right. So there. Here's what I would do then. This is going to be in under 2.5 or under 1.5 prop. Um, Kopylov absolutely dog walked Soriano. We actually hit that one, right? We had Kopylov finish.
Yep, Kopilov is
Um,
our boy.
but he lost to, lost to Brendan Allen, which that aged really well, and then Nick Maximoff, who I'm not a big fan of Maximoff coming out of training with um, Diaz boys. But then
Yeah,
you look at Dustin Stoltzfus. He lost to Abus Magomedov, who is fucking straight turds,
doo-doo
straight turds.
buns, dude.
And in his best win, his only recent win is against Dwight Grant in the last 3 years.
Bro,
So
Dwight Grant. Oh
yeah,
God.
so so I'm gonna go. I'll go with Soriano to win. Will I put money on him? No, I'll put it on the under 2.5 or under 1.5, depending on what has the better um line. But this isn't going the distance. This is gonna be someone's getting finished. Um, or it's going to be a really boring fight. it's going to be a quick finish or a boring fight because these guys know their job's on the line.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna run with Soriano by knockout. I'm hoping I'm hoping it's plus, 200 or plus 250. That would be ideal. I would have some money on that. If it's above plus 150, then I'll have some money on it for sure. I think he can knock Stoltzfus out. Soriano's got power. I think he's kind of the better overall MMA fighter here, and I think the UFC wants him to win. He's got more power. Stoltzfus coming off of he got absolutely fucking clocked by Abbas Magomedov, who we found is maybe the worst Russian fighter of all time. Like the guy sucks. Absolutely awful. Terrible.
Yeah.
Bad. Not good. And Stoltzfus got knocked out, one punch or something. It was quick. It was like one little doink and he was on the canvas. And Soriano's got that type of power. Soriano's got, we don't know exact numbers. We need to get him on that punching machine, but he might have more power than a bus. Soriano's got real power. Um,
Yeah.
so for me, I think it's Soriano by knockout, and I think that's probably a pretty high clip here. At least it should be. All right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're just expecting fireworks with that one, I think, to be honest with you.
Hopefully, that's
That's
how they
that.
want to open it. Yeah. This is my big fight of the night. This is where I've got, most of my eggs are going to be in this basket. So I'll let you lead us off, and then I'll run off on a long old tangent.
Um. All right. So this is Sean Brady versus Kelvin Gastelum. Um. Sean was on a absolute tear until he ran into Bilal Muhammad. I don't think any of us saw that coming, but it did. He got finished rather shockingly. Um, but what I do know for Kelvin Gastelum is I think he is a little bit underrated, and I think his record really deters of how good he actually is. The only thing I'm concerned about with Kelvin Gastelum now is dropping down, and he's fighting at 170. Um, I think honestly, this is going to be a tougher fight than Sean Brady expects. Um, and you're not going to like this. You're not going to like it. But I think Kelvin Gastelum can win a decision here. I think just from him fighting, and if you look at his losses, he's lost to Cannonier, Whitaker, Hermanson, by a sub, right? Darren Till, old Darren Till, like older version, or I should say younger version, Darren Till, and then he took Izzy to a place I don't think Izzy's ever been to when he was at that point in his career. Um, I'm gonna go with Sean Brady by decision.
Sean Brady by decision or Kelvin Gastelum?
Sean Brady by decision.
Sean Brady by decision. All right. I'm all over the.
I know I just talked Kelvin Gastelum up, but I think this is a major moment for Sean Brady. I don't think I want to see the weight cut, but I don't think it's going to be good for Kelvin cutting the weight, and I think Sean Brady should win.
All right. That's kind of the whole reason I think Kelvin Gastelum is the underdog here. Is that whole weight cut, and a lot of people are worried about it because if we look at him like skill for skill, Sean Brady is going to have to get a takedown and choke him out in the first round or second round here. It's going to have to be early in the fight because Kelvin Gastelum is that guy who's going to walk you down and he's going to throw combinations on you when you're tired, and that's how he's going to win the fight. And he does that much fucking better than Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad, I mean, hasn't knocked out. My grandma could probably survive 3 rounds with Bilal Muhammad. And he knocked out Sean Brady in the 3rd round. I don't know how it happened. Don't know why it happened. Kind of felt like it was, a different world or a different fucking quantum physics something. Something was going on. There was a break in the rift between worlds. And Bilal Muhammad knocked out Sean Brady. I don't know how. It was something crazy. But I think when that happens to you from Bilal Muhammad, I think Kelvin Gastelum is going to do dirty things to you on the feet. And Kelvin Gastelum also, people don't really know this about Kelvin Gastelum, really really great wrestler. So if he can just defend a couple takedowns, I think he's gonna put it on Sean Brady on the feet. And I think it's gonna be surprising to a lot of people how well Kelvin Gastelum can fight over 3 rounds as long as he can keep off his back. He can get taken down, here or there. That's not a big deal. But as long as he doesn't spend 10 minutes on his back over this fight, which that's kind of the way that Sean Brady's going to have to win. The other thing I really don't like is Sean Brady's out there making excuses about that Bilal Muhammad fight. He's out there saying, this and this happened. That's the reason I lost. I beat Bilal Muhammad 9 out of 10 times. First off, Bilal Muhammad beat the living fuck out of you. Second off, Bilal Muhammad is a damn good fighter. So, if you're going to take an L, at least take an L like a man and be like, Bilal Muhammad's a good fighter. Credit to him. He beat me. Whatever. You don't have to say all well, this happened and I would beat him 9 times out of 10 if we fought. If we fought 9 more times, I'd beat him every time. You just sound like a crybaby. You're just trying to justify it for your mind. I think Kelvin Gastelum gets it done here. He's plus 110. He's kind of floating between plus 110 and plus 120 around. I just think he's going to stuff a couple takedowns and he's going to put some stuff on Sean Brady that's uncomfortable for Sean Brady. And I don't think he'll react well, after the first round. The first round will tell a lot, but I just don't think Gastelum should be the dog here. But it's gonna be that weight cut, like you said. I'm gonna be looking at, if the weight cut looks bad, I will be ready to potentially cash out. I will be ready to make a decision on whether or not I want to keep that bet open or just cash it out, or I'll just put same amount of money on Sean Brady to win the same amount of money so that I just completely even. But whatever it is, I'm feeling Kelvin Gastelum right now, and I've got a couple units on him.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad. I think, did I surprise you by switching to Sean Brady?
Yeah, dude, I thought you were gonna go with the fridge for a second. I was like, "What the hell, Tim?" I thought you were a Sean Brady dude.
I thi- I don't think the weight cut. I think it's gonna be an issue.
Yeah,
Do you remember what was Gastelum fighting at when he was on Ultimate Fighter?
I think it was 170, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
Because then Dana forced him to go up once he missed weight like 3 times in the UFC. Because he just fucking smokes weed and shows up high and shit and then he finally got himself kind of together before that last fight. That was a great fight. That Chris Curtis fight. That
Yeah,
was an awesome fight.
so he was 170. So
Yeah,
if
that
you
makes
had the
sense.
issue, let me ask you this then. So if you had the issue at, you know, 8 years ago of making 170, then how the hell are you going now as you're older to making to going back to make 170?
I think,
It
dude,
doesn't get easier. It doesn't get easier as you get older.
yeah, it's gonna be a hard weight cut. It's all gonna depend on whether or not he can have the discipline when it comes to this week and also the past couple months, bro. It all depends on if the people in his camp are keeping him accountable because we knew when he was at 185 that he was not a 185er. But he was still, I mean, he almost beat Israel Adesanya. So you can't say he wasn't having success at 185, but everyone saw his frame. We all were like, yo, you're not a 185er. You'd have a lot of success at 170. And I think if he can finally latch on to the discipline, because I mean, he was always talking about smoking weed and, eating cupcakes, before fights and shit when he was at 185. And everyone was like, oh, this dude's just kind of a head case when it comes to weigh ins. If he can shore that up, I'm going to just say it now. If he wins this fight, he might be a top 10 guy. Who knows? But before this fight, if he can shore it up at 170, dude is a top 5 170 pounder in the world. I truly believe that Kelvin is one of those guys. He is like a legitimate mixed martial artist with a lot of fucking experience against the best guys in the world. And not to mention the best guys in the world a weight class up. But I mean, there's so many what ifs there. There's so many fucking what ifs. What if he makes weight? What if he stays disciplined? What if he, actually follows through? What if he can do it once, but he can't do it twice? There's just so many questions about him. But,
Yeah.
here's me with money on him. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'd like to see the weight. That's going to be a major factor.
Yeah. I probably, honestly, would have felt differently about this fight if I didn't see Sean Brady making excuses on social media. That bothers me. When fighters do that, that bothers me. Like, just based on how you're going to perform when you're making excuses for yourself.
Yeah, but you don't know how maybe that motivates them.
Yeah, it could be
Um,
different fighter to fighter.
your buddy, what's his name? He just won over Aljo.
Sugar
Um,
Sean, excuse
Sugar
machine.
Sean
He's an excuse
O'Malley.
machine, dude.
He thinks he's undefeated, but remember,
Yeah, bro.
my boy that's gonna fight him, finish him.
Cheeto. Yeah, bro. Sean has got
So
excuses for why he lets other dudes fuck his wife. He's got excuses for why. Have
yeah,
you seen all that jazz?
yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know. Uh, That's between him and his wife, just like Ian Gary and his wife, whatever that whole thing's about.
And Sean
Um,
Strickland is somehow in it now too. They got some.
yeah.
They got a little love triangle
Sean gets
going.
involved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
Sean gets involved in everything.
Did you see
All the
Sean?
Sean.
He gets involved with all the Seans and their wives. Did you see Sean? Someone tried to break into his house and he like ran out there with a gun and he looked like bro, it looked like he was about to kill him. Because we've all heard Sean talk about, he always thinks about killing people and how that's like his fantasy for life. He ran out there
Yeah,
like the Terminator. Like he was going to choke someone to death with his bare hands and like rip their face off or something. It was insane. He like walked with
yeah,
the nastiest walk I've ever seen. I was like, please, Sean, don't kill this guy. I don't want you to go to jail and then never be able to fight again.
yeah. Well, you'll probably read something at some point. Hopefully not, but that seems the trajectory. It
Body in
wouldn't
his
surprise
closet,
me.
sort of a deal.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, hopefully not, but none of that shit would surprise me.
No, same here. And I even, kind of like Sean Strickland after he beat Adesanya. So hopefully he just stays who he is, keeps his hands off of civilians, keeps his gun pointed away from civilians, and we can just watch him fight for a whole career. Oh, dude,
Oh,
this fight here, bro.
and this is all. Let me go first on this one because I think um this is gonna be an easy one. Rob Font versus Davison Figueredo. Um, I'm on Figgy, uh, all day at plus money here, just for the simple fact that we all saw what Corey Sanhagen did to Rob Font. Rob Font is a stand-up fighter. Um, Granted, he looked great against Adrian Yanez, right? But that's when he could dictate it. Um, he lost to Cheeto. He lost to Aldo, and then he beat Cody No Love two and a half years ago. Figueiredo, thank God he's not fighting Brandon Moreno. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
so over all those fights.
Thank fucking
Um,
God.
but here's the thing: Figgy's a world champion, right? Figgy is 21-3-1. Um, Figueiredo's going to take him down, and he's probably going to submit him. To be honest with you, um, that's how I see this playing out. I will take the money line though. At plus money on Figueiredo, I think that's a pretty safe bet. I think that win over Yanez. I don't know if it was what it was. I don't want to say if it was. It's not luck. Obviously, these are highly skilled athletes, but it just might have been a blip. I think it was a fooled you fight, and we thought maybe he could do something against Stanhagen. Um, but that's not pan out. So I'm going Figgy by sub, or by decision. But I think he's gonna win.
Yeah, so I've been a big Rob Font fan. I've always been on my boy Font. I was against him, or I was on him against Yanez when he was a big underdog. He was like plus 180 there or something. Something fucking nuts. I was on him against Cody No Love. I was on him against Aldo. So I've been on him quite a bit, and I'm a fan of him. I think he had a lot of upside. He's one of those guys that had a lot of upside and then broke his face. I think it was Cheeto broke his fucking face, and he hasn't been able
Yeah.
to recover from that. And he doesn't have the hardware to be a world champion. He's got the skills to be a world champion when it comes to dude could honestly probably knock out anybody on the feet and go the full five with anybody on the feet. He's shown that against guys like Aldo, but he just doesn't have the hardware to survive those fights. Like when he gets hit, he doesn't react well. And I think Figueiredo can hit him like that. I think Figueiredo's got the power to hit him like that. And then you add on Figueiredo being able to grapple with him. We've got quite a bit of reasoning to be on Figueiredo there. And then also Figueiredo's plus money here. It doesn't really make sense to me why Figueiredo's plus money, because most of the justification I can think of would be, Font's big at 135 and Figueiredo's an old, 125er. But the thing is Figueiredo's always been big for 125. He was almost missing weight. He missed weight to win the title, so that they had to rebook that fight after he borderline killed Joseph Benavidez. Borderline had a manslaughter charge there. Like Joseph Benavidez woke up
Yeah.
seeing ghosts and screaming, and they had to rebook it because Figueiredo missed weight. He's a big 125er. He probably should have been at 135 already, but they made us endure his best years of his entire career fighting Brandon Moreno 17 times. We just wasted 4 years of his career, his prime 4 years, ages 31 to 35. We watched him fight Brandon Moreno over and 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 over, which kind of pisses me off because I would have liked to see Figgy fight some other people, but I think Figgy gets it done here. I really do. I think he can land the more powerful shots. He could knock out Rob Font. He also could grapple and submit him, just like you were talking about. Rob Font, if he's going to win, it's going to have to be a perfectly executed game plan. And how often does MMA work out perfectly? Hardly ever. You hardly ever get your game plan to a T, perfect, exactly what you needed. You need Figueiredo not to go for takedowns. Then you need Figueiredo not to have more power on his shots than you. And then you need to be able to just last 3 full rounds jabbing him and have Figueiredo not make any adjustments. There's just a lot of things that Font would need to have go his way. When Figueiredo, I think Figueiredo could get knocked down in this fight and then end up in a better place because they're on the fucking ground. Figueiredo could get, pushed back and then end up in a better place because he has more power off his back foot. There's a lot of ways Figueiredo can win this, and so I'm on Figgy here. I think he's going to be my other pick.
Yeah.
Him and Kelvin Gastelum are going to be kind of my two underdog boys, and I'm looking at a third in one of these top two fights. Maybe I'll end up with four. Who fucking knows? But as of right now, I do like Figueredo here.
Yeah. All right. So we're the same on that.
Yeah, I actually like Figgy a
All
lot
right.
there.
So we had a switch out on this card for this fight. Is It was Dan Hooker versus Bobby Green. Now we have Jalen Turner versus Bobby Green.
Yes, sir.
They have they have they moderate -250 favorite. Coming off of two losses, going against the +200 dog Bobby Green. Coming in off of two wins. Um, I I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little too unsure about this one. I think it can go two ways. I think Bobby Green can do what we just saw him do against Grant Dawson. Um, but then I can also see if um, Jalen Turner can get Bobby Green down. I can see him getting a sub. But the only thing is, I don't know who's going to try and take him down. You know what I mean? Or obviously, it would have to be Jalen Turner, but I don't know if we have enough of a track record of somebody taking Bobby Green down besides Islam Makhachev.
Yeah.
This one I'm this one I'm gonna enjoy. I'm not gonna have any action on it. I do think the future is bright for Jalen Turner, and I also think that Bobby Green has had this great resurgence. Um, but it also depends how this first round goes. Just for the simple fact that Jalen Turner looked great the first round against Dan Hooker and then absolutely fell apart. Um, fell apart to a guy that won a split decision with half of his face hanging off, a broken arm. I mean, it's and that was 4 months ago. He took a beating from Dan Hooker.
Yeah, dude.
Oh gosh. You know what? I'm gonna sprinkle a little on Bobby Green here as a dog, because Bobby Green's coming in here, um, fresh as a daisy. He had one bad half a round against Tony Ferguson, and then beat the brakes off of him. Finished him with a sub in the last minute of the final round, and
Yep.
then absolutely flatlined Grant Dawson. I like Bobby Green here at +200. Um, I don't think Jalen Turner. One, I think this is coming back way too fast, and I don't think Jalen Turner is did what he needed to do after losing to Gamrot. Even though it was a split decision, what he showed in that Dan Hooker fight seemed like regression to me. So I'm gonna go Bobby Green, but I wouldn't be surprised if he could sub Green in the first round. To be 100% honest.
Yeah, man. Here's the thing. I gotta keep myself in check because after Bobby Green was +4 or something against Grant Dawson and we hammered it and then he knocked him out, I'm kind of a Bobby Green homer now. I've never really been a big fan of Bobby Green. But, I mean, that was the smash spot of the year. I couldn't figure out why it was that line and all that shit. And so now we're getting Bobby Green against a much better fighter in Jalen Turner. And you said his future is bright, and I 100% agree. I just think his future is bright at 170. I don't think he can make 155 consistently here. He missed weight 4 months ago. got the shit beat out of him, and now he's taking a last minute well, not last minute, but short notice replacement opportunity when he can hardly make weight with a full camp. That's kind of tough to
Yeah.
me. And then you have to factor in, if he does make weight, how much is it going to take out of him? Because last fight, you don't make weight. You got 3 pounds there, or 2 pounds actually, because he missed. You only had to be 156. You got 2 pounds. You did not have to cut that final 2 pounds. So you basically had it a little bit easier than if you would have cut those final 2 pounds. He cuts those full final 2 pounds. How different does that Dan Hooker fight look? Because he already looked tired, depleted. His chin didn't look all that good in that fight. He had his moments in that early. But how much would that final 2 pounds have taken out of that? We'll never know. But that's where I get a little bit caught up moving into this Bobby Green fight. Bobby Green, big underdog, but Bobby Green can make 156 in his sleep. Bobby Green, slick
Yeah.
boxing, fast hands. He's more precision than power. He's kind of that. I'm not comparing him to Conor McGregor, but he's that sort of a deal where he doesn't hit. Like, he's not like gonna fucking overhand you into oblivion, but he hits you right in the right spot when you're not expecting it, and that's what's gonna put you down. And that's what put Grant Dawson down. Was the sneakiest little punch. And I just feel like he might be able to catch Jalen Turner. I feel like he might be able to catch that chin and put him down. And Jalen Turner, he looked really, really bad in that final round of the Dan Hooker fight. He looked like he was, not in shape, but the guy had 0% body fat. The guy was absolutely shredded to the gills, and he just looked like he wasn't able to continue. He looked like he was, had no stamina, nothing left in the tank. And I think Bobby Green, he pushes a little bit of a pace on him. Bobby Green's a little bit sneaky to hit. I think he could take this one from Jalen, especially that short notice. That's big here because Jalen Turner, like I said, he has trouble with weight. He's also, coming off of his first weight miss. That's going to play in his mind. And also, cutting those final two. We don't know if that's going to be positive, negative, whatever. I don't know. Bobby Green's got a lot in his favor here. And I think he could find the chin of Jalen Turner, which a lot of people I've seen on Jalen Turner here pretty heavily. A lot of people fading Bobby Green, but Bobby Green's a dog. Bobby Green is that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one, man.
All right, dude. Main event time. 5 rounds. This is a great fight. This is the exact perfect fight for the division right now. This is a great fucking fight. We have Beneil Dariush versus Arman Sarukian. And Beneil Dariush, 22, 5 and 1. Guy's a world beater. Guy has, no gi world championships in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And then he started to put his hands together. That was what changed for Beneil Dariush. He was about to be cut from the UFC, and then he starts to put his hands together and realizes, oh, I have power. I'm pretty slick here. And then he goes on this crazy streak. He beat Scott Holtzman, Diego Ferreira, Tony Ferguson. He beat Gamrot. And when I say he beat Gamrot, he beat the shit out of Gamrot. Like, actually beat Gamrot. And then lost to Charles Oliveira, which Charles Oliveira is one of the best mixed martial artists on the planet right now. Not to mention he's one of the highest momentum martial artists on the planet right now. So losing to Charles Oliveira, it's whatever. It's Charles Oliveira. He's one of the best 155ers we've ever seen. And then Arman Sarukian, on the other hand, in his last 5, he beat Christos Giagos. He beat Yoel Alvarez. He lost to Gamrot in a very close decision. That was a very, very close decision. Could have gone either way. One of the best, young fights that we've seen because both those guys are up and comers at 155. It was a great technical fight. He beat Damir Ismagulov, and then he beat Joaquim Silva, which we just talked about earlier, where Silva, knocked him down and put him in a little bit of hot water there. And for me, I am leaning Benil Dariush here. I'm leaning Benil Dariush because I know what he has on the ground, and I think he can subdue Sarukian's ground attack. And I don't really have faith in Sarukian's, striking. I feel like we've already seen this exact fight before because Sarukian and Gamrot are very similar fighters. They lack on the feet, but they're very, very good grapplers and they're very, very high pace. And we saw that fight already. Gamrot was pushing the pace on Dariush, trying to get takedowns, couldn't get them, and Dariush was piecing him up on the feet. And I feel like this could be a very, very similar fight where Sarukian kind of gets pieced up on the feet. He might even, we saw his chin get checked in that last fight. I think Dariush has more power than Joaquim Silva. So it's kind of dicey though because Benil Dariush is getting older and Sarukian is a young up and comer, 27 years of age, making improvements between every fight. He's one of those guys that you would want to ride all the way to a belt or a championship fight. You'd want to just not fade until he gets to like a title fight. But Benil Dariush is a fucking brick wall, man. He's 34. That's the later end of your prime, but that's still your prime. This dude is not going to get out grappled by anyone in the UFC. He's not going to get out grappled by anyone in the UFC. That's just a fact. This dude is a legend on the BJJ circuits. It just comes down to who's going to win the striking, in my opinion. And I don't really fucking know, but I kind of want to lean underdog with Benil Dariush. What are you thinking, Tim?
Yeah, I'm with you on Dariush. I think the level of competition has been significantly different. We saw what happened when Sarukian got tested with Gamrot.
Yeah.
Um, Fortunately, he took the loss, and then they gave him the Ismagulov fight, and then which we thought would be a lot. Um, I'm trying to think of how to word it. I thought that would be a lot better of a fight, to be honest with you. But then that was when Ismagulov's like, "Oh, I might retire. I don't know. You know what I mean?"
Yep.
And he looked like he did not. He did not give a shit. Um, so I think due to the fact that Silva almost finished him, Sarukian that is into lower level of competition. I think that Dariush is gonna get it done. Granted, he just lost. That's fine. It is what it is. Um, he does have that win over Gamera, and that's that MMA math. That's a tough win to get a win over Gamera. It's a tough win to get over Tony Ferguson. It's a tough win over Ferreira, and spinning back fist win over Holtzman. When you get that Scott Holtzman win 3 years ago, right, and jump to Ferreira, then you jump to Tony Ferguson, and then you jump. And remember that Tony Ferguson. That's not Tony Ferguson. 6 months ago, Tony Ferguson. That's 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you get the Gamrot. I mean, it's progressing, um, to pretty much to the champion or the number one contender, obviously, which is what Oliveira is. Whereas you don't build up momentum over Christos Giagos and then Joel Alvarez. Then you get to your peak, which is at Gamrot. That was at what? They were both 8. One was 8, one was 9. And that was going to be the springboard. That was the fight that whoever wins this is probably going to become a champion. We were all talking about. And then once you lost that, and it was a great fight, but then you get to Ismagulov, and then you get to Silva. Um, yeah, I think Dariush. And I don't think Dariush was right when he fought Oliveira because that didn't look like him, and he was out of there quick.
Yep.
Um, Not to take anything away from Charles, but that's not what I mean. I thought Oliveira was going to win the fight, but I did not think it was going to go like that. So I'm with Dariush. I think I might do a little Benny, um, Benny with our guy Bobby, the Benny and Bobby parlay.
Benny and Bobby. I'm so down for that. Benny and Bobby. I like it. Yeah, I'm gonna have four underdogs. I'm gonna have four underdogs on the main card there. I'm gonna have Gastelum, Figgy, Green, and Daryush. It sounds like, which I've
It's
had
even
worse.
crazier when you say it out loud that you're talking Dariush as an underdog, Davison Figueredo as an underdog, Bobby Green who just sparked someone as an underdog. Um, that's crazy, and it's not like they're plus 115s. They're all over plus 200,
Yeah, bro.
which is absurd.
Craziness.
To me, all these fights are straight pick'em fights.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Daryush and Sarukian is a straight pick 'em. I think Bobby Green is a straight pick 'em. I think Figueredo should be favored in that fight, which is crazy that he's plus 115. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me why he's plus 115. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's nuts.
I don't know. I'm gonna put together some parlays and just I bet you with three underdogs on the main card, there's some opportunities for some fat parlays.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, that'll be good. It'll be a good card. Those top five fights are pretty crazy, to say the
Yeah,
least.
it is a good card. I really do wish it was Dan Hooker, versus Bobby Green, but beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, that'd be a
Um,
great fight.
I still think that would have been too fast. I don't know. I think I think they need to reconsider rushing some of these cards. Um, 4.5 months seems extremely fast turnaround for both these guys between Turner and Hooker to come out and fight again. Um,
I 100%
kind of.
agree.
I think that's a little extreme, and you know, no wonder Dan Hooker broke his fucking arm again. I mean,
Yeah.
you, it's simply not enough time,
Yeah, there's
and
there's no
and
way
you
you
know,
should be training that quickly after a broken arm like that.
no, no, not at all. So listen, it is what it is. You know, it's our business. They need to turn around fighters and do what they need to do. But yeah, I'm just not a fan. But it is what it is.
Yeah, man. I'm surprised that we line up on those dogs on the main card. I was thinking I was gonna sound like a conspiracy nut coming in here. Four underdogs on the main card, but now I'm feeling a little better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's like I said. To me, they feel like pick'ems. So
Yeah, you got to take the dog money on
we
those then.
shall we shall see.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hopping on, Tim. This was good, and I hope anyone who listened, got some good info.
Absolutely.